Hi, everyone. I am typically and fashionably late as usual due to some technical issues I had. But I'm really looking forward to the conversation I'm going to have today with an ex-Scientologist called Michel Francoeur. I hope I said your name correctly.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, good. How are you?
I'm doing great these days. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. And
yeah.
you?
I am great. I'm great. I'm a little bit tired after a big week with a lot of international guests protesting in Copenhagen. But
But that's fantastic.
yes,
Congratulations.
yes, I feel like we made some great steps forward to kind of getting our voices heard and the protest movement to be growing. We even had mainstream media present over there. So.
Wow,
I
fantastic.
look, yeah, I look forward to see the outcome of that in the near future.
Hmm.
Would you just shortly tell about yourself, where you're from, and where you grew up?
Yeah, well, I'm from Quebec, Canada, which is the French province in Canada. We have 10 provinces, and one of them is French. Some are bilingual, like New Brunswick. And so I'm a French Canadian. And
Mm-hmm.
I was born into another cult, which is called the Mission of the Holy Spirit. It's a
Mm-hmm.
cult that was founded around 1910 or 12, around there, and that still exists today. But we are denouncing it too. And so I was born into that cult, and I was taken out of it by my parents when I was about 5 or 6, because they announced a big Armageddon in 73, 1973.
Mm-hmm.
It never happened. So after a couple of years, many people left the cult
Mm-hmm.
because the Armageddon never happened, and it was such a mess. When this was announced, many people left the cult, and but many little satellites of the cult or different mission of the cult. The cult splits, and they opened,
Mm-hmm.
but we never joined any. But my dad always believed in the guru of the cult. He was 10 years, and he brought us in Scientology when I was 11. And even 10, 15 years after, he still had the picture of his first guru. That he was born in that religion, that
Mm-hmm.
new religious movement, and that is now labeled as a cult. And he was still believing in that guy there. So,
Yeah.
but he had problem on study at the Church of Scientology, and
Mm-hmm.
they came at his place a few times, and like they want to control everything. They had him take off that picture on the wall because
Mm-hmm.
they said he was confused between the different doctrine, his old doctrine and the new one.
Yeah.
So
So basically, your father was also born into a cult,
and the
although.
same cult. Yeah, I am from the fourth generation. So my
Mm-hmm.
father and his parents were born in the mission of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So it was ingrained in my family. I don't know if that word is good, but it was in our DNA, for a
Mm,
few generations. And
yeah.
this cult was really disgusting. I'd say I would dare to say it is the most misogynistic cult in our part of
Mm,
America, and
yeah.
really close. Everybody outside were child of Satan. Everybody who weren't born in the cult, and it was bad. And
Yeah.
then I joined Scientology at 11, and I went on staff at 12. But I started
Yeah.
Scientology at 11. I started the communication course and some courses, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't allowed legally to sign a contract before I was 12. So at 12, I signed the contract on uh, Montreal's org staff.
Mm,
And it didn't take long before I left for the Sea Org in Florida, another country then.
yeah.
And I've been in the Sea Org, I would say maybe 8 months about, because I was all when I joined Scientology at 11, or there is something we sometimes we don't talk a lot about cults. We see the cults as big monsters that go and eat people, but if there is a demand, there will be an offer. If people are looking for ways to improve themselves through spirituality, they will find it. People will offer them. So at 11, I was already looking for something, because it was a mess at home. We were 8 children when we left. My mom had 8 children within 9 years, and 5 miscarriage within 9 years. So she was always overwhelmed. And when we left the cult, my father started using more grass, smoking a lot of. He was always working. That's what he said. So it was a mess at home. And I had already taken drugs and alcohol at 11. I was smoking cigarettes since I was 7 or 8. And I had been abused by a man, sexually abused. And so my psychological state wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. So when I did join Scientology myself, not only because I was brought in by my parents, and I found a community there that I knew when I was quite young, and the mission of the Holy Spirit. I found a new community, like a new family, and to the Montreal organization.
Yeah. I was when I was reading the book, I was thinking about your early experiences and how in the mission, you call it the mission, the cult that you were born into and your father was born into.
That's how we called it. I'm going to the missions room tonight. We wouldn't say I'm going to the mission of the Holy Spirit's room. So that's why I use the diminutive in the book.
Yeah, but it seems that all the teachings were based on fear. For example, the sun was a reflection of hell, for example.
These are present in every cult because they want you to be afraid of what's outside the cult. So they will invent everything. It's like if I get you to my place, if I don't want you to leave, I'm going to tell you, oh, don't go out. The shop there just had an explosion, and it's full of contaminated smoke, and you can't go out of the house. Yes. So every cult have their things, to bring you in their cult. And normally, this guy who wrote the doctrine of the mission had a lot of imagination. He said that the sun was a reflection of hell. But it's weird because they say that hell was like the planet Earth. It was the kingdom of Satan. So the sun was just a reflection of the ténèbres, we say in French, the ténébreux, And they also said that the moon was a reflection of the woman that was evil. The woman was evil. And the child that was born in the woman was a child of Satan. And the leader of the cult, the guru, the master, had to put his hand on the fetus to purify. And so when he come out of his mother, I don't know the good terms in English, but then he would be a son of God.
Okay. Do you think that was also impacting the way your father was, for example, treating your mother?
Of course it was. And it was impacting the way he was treating us and the way he was treating people outside the cult. I had my book. It's like a leitmotiv in my book that comes back all the time. My relationship with my father. That's how I start my book, because when my father died, I still hated him. After 6 months, I wanted to throw his pictures in the garbage, and I did it. But my son was there looking at me, and I said, "Is that a good solution?" Yeah. And I said, "No, I want to make peace with my father. Now he's gone, and I want to forgive, and I want to start brand new. I don't want to keep these anger and this." So I took out the picture, and I decided I was gonna try to learn more about him. That's how I started studying the doctrine of the mission of the Holy Spirit. And
Yes.
that's how I learned more, because when I was in the cult, I left at 5 or 6, so I don't have many memories, but I did
No.
study the doctrine, and I saw that it was I'm sure that he got his misogynistic attitude from the cult.
Yes.
The way they describe the women in the cult, it's terrible, and it comes every day. It's in the center of the doctrine. And he was also racist, but I found a lot of writing about people of color, how they were qualified in the cult. They said that, anyway. I don't want to go into that too much, but yes, I'm sure that it is, because also the generation, it gets into, in a certain way, into your DNA. The trauma that has affected your ancestors still affect you in a certain way, and I mean in a certain level. And of course, yes, it was affecting him. And I saw so many people out of the mission for years, but they were still really narcissistic and chauvin, we say in French, because people were
Chauvinistic.
chauvinistic, because
Yes.
we were said, us who were born in the mission of this, we were said to be almost equal as Jesus. We were supposed to, so we were not encouraged to go to school, because they would say, oh, Jesus was teaching in mosque, no, not in mosque, the other one, at 12, he was teaching at 12. And they said, black and white, we had to learn that by heart as a children, that we were infused with the science before we were born. When the master put his hand on the fetus of our mother, he gave us the wisdom.
Yes.
And so we considered out. So it was difficult for men to get out of that cult and leave that idea that they have of themselves, that they are comparable to someone like Jesus, and they don't need any education. And so many of my uncle were, it's sad to say, but yeah, they were very chauvinistic and self-centered and very judgmental. My father was so judgmental toward homosexual or women. He was very misogynistic, and because I saw that, and many other people who came out of the mission, I said that's the common denominator, is they're being raised in the mission of the Holy Spirit. And I thought that I thought that they were infused with these character trait of character. And
and it sounds there's a lot of similarities with Scientology. First of all, the homophobia, the separation from the rest of the society. You recall, as a child, you were not allowed to play with just any children in the neighborhood. And the cult, the person who started the cult was part of the Holy Trinity, so-called Holy Trinity.
They said that he was the third part of the Holy. He was the Holy Spirit. So there was Jehovah, who was God, and they said that Jehovah God was nature. And then there was Jesus, who was the example. He was the example, because they say that Angel Gabriel had come down on earth to impose his hands on Mary's womb. And that's how Jesus came. If Angel Gabriel wouldn't have done that, Jesus would be a son of Satan like anyone else. So it was the example of what we had to do as a mission, was to bless the womb of the woman before the baby is born, and that blessing had to be done by the Holy Spirit, and the incarnation of the Holy Spirit was the Master, Eugène Richer de la Flèche. So I don't know how I came to that. Does it answer the question?
Yes. So I'm just finding
but it's
the
always like
similarities.
that. The cult, every cult, it's like that. They will give you something that if you leave the cult, you don't have it anymore. Something that you will only get into the cult. Like Albert and Scientology would never have told you, well, just go see Freud or Carl Gustav Jung or another. no, they were all out of the. Only in Scientology you found the truth, and it
Yes.
was the same thing in the mission of the Holy Spirit. And it's
Mm.
every cult have their truth, and if you're not with them, then you're out of the truth. You're lost.
Yes. Yes.
So that's it was in common with the mission and
Yeah.
the Scientology.
Yeah. Do you think it's a natural progression that, for example, when your parents left the mission, that your father was longing for something else and therefore found Scientology as a substitute or a replacement?
If it's natural, yes. It's difficult to say, but I think that in many cases, yes. I've known many people that were into the mission of the Holy Spirit. When they got out of the cult, it's not really natural. It's due to their programmation they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to get back into society, mainstream
Mm.
society, because all your life they told you that they are demons and they are bad and medicine is bad and psychologists are monsters. And so when you get out of the cult, it's a big step to start going to see a doctor, regularly, and go
Mm.
do a therapy with a psych, or because you still, when you get out of the cult, you're still stuck with the beliefs that were taught to you. So
Yeah.
you have to do this deprogrammation, which
Yes.
is not easy. People will tend to find another cult that will tell you the same thing the first cult was telling you, so
Mm.
it suits your beliefs. If
Yes.
not, to deprogram yourself from the first beliefs you have that are indoctrination from cults or other movements, often you have to go into some kind of psychosis that is a crisis of um, I don't find the word, when your belief don't suit with your values.
Yeah.
It,
Kate
it,
is saying here that you're still in the same mindset,
yeah,
so to
I
speak.
mean
Yeah.
it's dissonant, cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You know, you would like to find something else, but you're stuck with these beliefs. You would like to be true to yourself, but you never learn to think by yourself.
Mm.
You all your life you've been taught to listen at what the master was saying and do what he says. And it was the same thing in Scientology. Albert was telling you what to do there. Da, 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 da. You stop thinking by yourself first. Then you have to learn to think by yourself, and then you have to find your own values and what do you really believe now that you're allowed to think by yourself.
Mm.
What are my beliefs? And when you touch this, which is sometimes hidden very very deep, there is the cognitive dissonance that appears, that makes you feel some kind of anguish and anxiety, and many people will compare that to some kind of psychosis. Or I did I did insomnia for days and days after
Mm.
I left the last Pentecostal church I was in,
Mm.
because I was broke, and there was a voice in me that wanted to be heard. And like this voice didn't let me sleep until I listened to it. And it would pop up. And then during the night that I didn't sleep, I was in bed and I kept a pen and some paper by the side of my bed, so I don't have to get up every time. And I would write it. And one of the major things is when I joined Scientology at 11, I was
Mm.
taught that only spirituality could cure someone psychological trauma, and only every physical disease were due to a lack in your spirituality and your spiritual health, if I can say it so.
Yeah.
So you go into spirituality to find answers and to find something to cure you, because I don't
Mm.
find the word. You go there to find for guérison in French, to find, because when you leave the cult, and sometimes it's very difficult. You are isolated. You really is. you still see people as child of Satan. When you're out of Scientology, you still have Scientology in your mind. You still think that you know all of this about the PTSSP, and you still consider people as wogs, as inferior to you because you spent some years in Scientology, some time. It's stupid, you know. I'd taken a few courses when I was a child, and my father was telling me that I knew more than the wogs outside because I did a few communication course, and ups and down course. They have different names today. So this is when you leave the cult. That's related to the fact that I was telling you to join the mainstream society, to accept that you're just a piece of sand, and trillions and trillions of other bit, you know, because when you're a Scientologist, you're someone superior, and you know everything about life, and they take conditions, and you see this a lot. I see it in the ex-Scientologist community. Some people they still hang out, they still hang to what they were given. Some people spend all their life in there. They invested everything to get out of Scientology, and to realize that almost everything you learned in there was crap. You know, there are some people, they're CS class 8 or CS class 12, or they were admired like if they were small gods in Scientology. They hang out to that. They hang on it. But it's bullshit. They just went deeper in the rabbit hole than me. You know? The more you study L. Ron Hubbard's technology, the more you become confused. And so I say you have to throw everything out of that in the garbage, and then maybe you pick up a few pieces from it that are still okay. But it's like if you throw up, sorry.
I'm trying to understand the people that have, you know, when you have had large part of your life spent in Scientology, how difficult it is to look yourself in the mirror and admit that it was for nothing, and anything you have achieved there does not mean anything in the real world.
It's not for nothing.
No, but it doesn't have the same status.
It's because it's a riches to have to have gone through that. You know, people have to be resilient and find something good in it, and it's possible to, you know, when you know that this is gonna kill you, but nobody knows it. You are in a much better place than them when you know that this is crap. It's not the way it works, and sometimes it takes a lifetime for people that are not in cults to learn stuff that you learn about yourself when you get out of the cult. You learn about yourself when you start deprogramming, and then you will study some psychology and some stuff, you know, to understand what happened. And after all the crap you learn in Scientology, then you're able to throw at what wasn't good, which is most of it. But you know, they say that Albert. I hear that also in speeches that from people that used to be in Scientology, you know, and to give some value to what they learn what they studied. They would say that Albert took that from another. So it's good. It was Freud, you know, or it was Breuer. It was good, and Albert took it and he said that it was his, and he transformed it. But so they want to keep the value of that bullshit.
Yeah, and I want to just clarify when I said it means nothing is more the status you have achieved, because I sometimes when I hear ex-Scientologists speaking of, for example, which level they were or which type of position they had within Sea Org, that does not have any significance in the outside world.
It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. You know, like. I read book from ex-Scientologists, you know, and I don't want to say name because, but I read a lot of books of ex-Scientologists like Leah Remini, Mike Rinder, Jackson. I read about 12 books, and many of them they never criticize about technology.
Mm.
Most of them will criticize the administration. They will criticize Miscavige.
Mm.
But the real evil at the pinnacle of the pyramid is L. Ron Hubbard.
Mm.
He was truly evil. He was a bad person, and
Yes.
but Scientologists, if many Scientologists who come out, well, they don't want to say that Hubbard was. They don't want to admit it.
Mm.
Some still have admiration for him. Hey, the guy was really wise, and he created all that. And there is also that attitude the Scientologists get from the tone scale. That's very important, and Scientology, to understand what happens in Scientology.
Yes.
Scientology, you find many techniques of dissociation to cut yourself from the negative emotion and to keep you high all the time, up in the tone scale. And when you stay in the tone scale, Albert was teaches us something, he tell us something at our beginning in Scientology. He says, what is true for you is true for you. So you're happy in that, you want to stay with and to your reality that you created. And you don't want to see the real thing, because to see the real thing that's happening outside Scientology and the society, you have to go down into the tone scale. Yes. You have to experiment empathy for people outside. You have to open your mind and become have compassion and go, and you have to go in these low levels. I always compare it with the yin and yang. People in the top of the tone scale, they're always in the yin. They're always in the brightness and the high color, and they will never go down below 2.0. They won't go there, even though many are 10, 15 years outside of Scientology. They're still stuck up there, and because they get into other things. I think that the difference with me is I was suffering so much because of my parents' abandonment and the sexual aggression. I one day the post-traumatic stress disorder started, and I call it like a little beast in me. The voice in me started yelling and banging in my chest and say, when are you going to start listening at me? Because I was going from one cult to another. That's ridiculous. Sometimes I'm ashamed of it. I left. I was taken out of the mission of the Holy Spirit. I went into Scientology, and then I got baptized into Anglican.
Okay.
I got baptized in Monaco and Monte Carlo when I was in south of France. That was great. I quite liked going there because I'm a singer and I would sing at weddings, and so I would, because I like that church, I would go often at the church, and I felt as an imposter because I wasn't baptized, so I asked to be baptized, and I thought but it was a thrill when I got baptized there. Something happened. Because I wanted to feel better, and I kind of prayed. I said maybe that's going to help me, So I had a lot of tears, and I had a lot of hope that would. But it didn't really change me. Maybe it did. It's a long progression. And then after I left the Anglican, I came to Montreal. Before I left for Europe, before I got baptized into the Anglican church, I went into the Brahmakumaris, which is another Indian cult. And while you do transcendental meditation, and this gets you really high too. The Brahmakumaris, I would say, it might be more dangerous than Scientology.
Okay.
From what I read from ex-members and to blogs, and to many people went schizophrenic with the Brahmakumaris. They psychologically ill. So, and then I did the Anglican, and then when I was studying in music, I sang a lot into Catholic churches. And then when I came back to Canada, when I left Europe, I got involved a lot with Pentecostalism and to evangelical church. So I searched a lot too.
Mm.
And
Yeah, but I also think that your formative years you spent in Scientology, and I was thinking when I was reading the part where your father found Scientology, and then your whole family joined Scientology more or less.
yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were participating in the start just to try to make your father happy rather than
And
being
yes,
yourself.
in a certain yes,
Mm,
um, to a certain level.
mm,
But I had been abused 1 year before,
mm,
and I had lived a lot of parental abandonment when I was
mm,
9, 10, sometime, because I live with my father and my two brothers,
mm,
and my mother at the other 5 child. And
mm,
sometime at my father's, there was nothing to eat. There was
mm,
nothing to eat. And I would
mm,
go knock at my mother, and she'd
mm,
tell me, go back to your father. He's in charge of you. I have enough of 5 children. You
mm.
know, that was
Yeah,
really difficult. So when I got
yeah.
into Scientology, I was not in a good space
Mm,
psychologically. So I
yeah.
adhered to Scientology because when I was sexually abused,
Mm,
I went into the same state of consciousness that the Scientology technique puts you.
mm.
So I went very fast into this dissociation state with
Yeah.
mostly with the TRs at the beginning.
Yes.
So I
Yeah. You
adhered.
you write about this disassociating with these TR
Yeah,
trainings.
because it's the whole thing about cults.
Mm,
Either you dissociate because you're bored and the assembly room and your parents say shut up and listen, and you're
mm,
bored, and you will start dissociating, thinking you're somewhere else, and
mm,
but when you're in that state, what is said and repeated at the front of the room by the preachers, it still
mm,
gets into your subconscious. It
mm,
becomes belief, even though if you're bored to hell, and they all have certain ways to put people. That's the more easiest and stupid way, just to be bored. But it's
mm,
a way that puts you that this it's a continuum of dissociation, and
mm,
you have all the steps. You start with being bored, or being somewhere else. Someone appears beside you, and no, sorry, I was somewhere else. That's dissociation, because
mm,
you're kind of bored, or it's considered as natural.
mm,
But to me, my personal opinion is the best condition a human being should be is always to be in the present moment and aware of what's
mm.
happening around, to be grounded. But
Yes.
some children who mostly children, I speak about children, but it's adult too. Some people would go often into the moon. Often they
Mm,
will be in another space, and these people are the best.
mm,
uh, when they get into a cult that use processing to put people into a dissociative state, which is that close to the hypnotic trance state.
mm,
That's how cults function. They put you in that state, and then they shoot you new values, new belief,
mm,
and without knowing it, these beliefs, you take them and they become true. and
mm,
one and one day you can't differentiate these belief from your own beliefs, your real beliefs, your values. So that's why they say this guy has been brainwashed, because he
mm,
was not the same before he joined the cult.
mm.
That's was what brainwashing is. And why did we go there? Yeah, so because when this man aggressed me, I got scared like hell, and I got out of my
Mm,
body. And this is something that happens to many people when you get in a
yeah.
traumatic situation. It happens a lot to soldiers in war zone. You hear the
Mm,
helicopter, but you don't know where it is, but
mm,
it's gonna shoot to you. And many
mm,
people, or sometimes you freeze, and in front of a
mm,
situation, you freeze, you don't know what to do, or then
mm.
your state of consciousness is modified, and
Yeah.
and then they shoot you with the other
Mm,
part of the process of hypnosis, which is
Mm.
suggestion
Yeah.
in many ways. In Scientology, they use suggestion about and writing and conferences and a lot too. The tone scale is a suggestion that gets in your
Mm.
mind when you look
Yeah.
at the tone scale. And when you look
Mm.
at the psychlos, these are the monster and the big novel that one of the big novel that Albert wrote, and John Travolta did the
The
movie
battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. They did the psychlo as
Mm.
monsters, and they put the title Psy. That's
Mm.
not just an hazard. Can we say that in English? It's not
Uh,
just because it's because of.
Coincidence.
It's not just a coincidence. It's all taught
Mm.
by Albert.
Mm.
These are all sort of um, uh, so there is the addictor, and then
Mm.
there is all the new values to shoot into you.
Mm.
When I left Blue the Sea Org, I came back to Canada, and
Mm.
I got really deep into drugs, and I did an
Yeah.
overdose, and the juvenile system, they came to look over me, and they took me into this center,
Mm.
and there were all psychotherapists and
Mm.
psychologists and psychiatrists. I tell you, I felt that I had I was onto the psychose planet.
Mm.
I was afraid of them. I saw them like enemies,
Mm.
even though they wanted me to they wanted to help me,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
But me, I still saw them. Everything that started by Psy was
Mm.
because I really liked the Johnny Goodboy. I liked the novel. I
Mm.
read the novel when I was in the Sea
Mm.
Org, and
Yeah.
I identify myself. I identified to Johnny Goodboy, who's the hero.
Mm.
This is all suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like your formative years, there was a lot of survival because of the fact that your father was not present and your mother was not supporting you. Was the Sea organization a promise of something better for you, or was it to show your father that you could make it inside Scientology?
No, it was not my father. It was really myself that joined the Sea Org. Actually, I had to go and ask them the permission to join the Sea Org
Mm.
because a good friend of mine back then. Today, I don't see. We're not so much friend, but back then I was friend with that girl who was about my age, and she was leaving for Clearwater with her mother. And I said, "Oh, I want to go too." And I had seen some people from Mission, from the Sea Org, with their costume come to the org, and I admired them. For me, they were Johnny Good Boys and the army of Johnny Good Boy, and so I wanted to join that team, and I want to me
Mm.
too. I wanted to change the world because what I saw from the world was, only parental abandonment and being hungry because there's nothing to eat, having to steal to eat, and
Mm.
being abused by that my friend's father, and
Mm.
so my idea of the world was not great, and I wanted to
Mm.
change it. So I joined the Sea Org for that, and my father to a certain level, but it was more when I got older.
Mm.
When I got around 18, 19, 20, I missed my father. This, what you say, I went to Scientology more to, it was like a big ruin. We use that word in Scientology, a ruin,
Ruin. Yeah.
something that ruined my lives was my
Mm.
relationship with my father.
Mm.
Because I always wanted him to tell me that he cared for me, that he loved me. I wanted to be close to him, but he
Mm.
was not like that. My father never touched me, never said he loved me,
Mm.
so I've searched for that. It was my
Mm.
ruin, but it started impacting me when I became an adult.
Yeah.
Because as a kid and as a teenager, he was more around.
Mm.
You know, I was quite close. When I was 13, when I came back from the Sea Org, I went to live with my father, and before I left for the Sea Org, I smoked grass with my father. I was 12.
Mm.
You know, and I think it's before I left or just after I came back. No, I was 12. So I was close to my father. Then he joined Scientology around that time, and we got further and further from each other.
Yeah.
And because my father got into Scientology universe, and the only way to be close to him was to enter his universe. And when I was 21, I left the center for teenagers. It was not easy for me to have a job and an apartment by myself and a car, to find because also at the center, I was surrounded by a lot of help, a lot of people to guide me, and so I got deep into drugs again, and then I stopped using drug because I almost wanted to kill myself, and I kind of pray again, and I ended up into meetings, to help me to stop using. And after I didn't use for a while, I came back. I went back into deep depression that I was in before I did that overdose around 13, 14. But till that day, I still kept the secret of my sexual aggression. I did not want people to see me as in these days, homosexuality, it was not open like today. Today, if I was homosexual, I wouldn't mind saying it to people and be open, and I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I kept that hidden in me, and it was grudging me from inside. And so I've been in kind of depression until I got to 45. Yeah. Because the time where I was really high, it was doing well, and it was when I was using or when I was under influence. Under influence, there is a book written by, I don't know, it's a specialist. I was under the influence of a cult that was telling me I was a great person, and these abuse, I was responsible for that because I attracted to it. I postulated, that's the Scientology doctrine, and now it's okay. I had experienced it. I can leave it, take responsibility for it, and just leave it. And I believed that for years and years and years, and I just hidden that with shame. And one day there was the Me Too. When the Me Too arrived, I saw there was people here. There were people in Quebec, who got sued because he had touched a bum of a guy in a shower. And that was like a light for me. I said, this guy, he felt aggressed because somebody touched his ass. And this man got on me and made me afraid. And I kind of admitted to myself that I'd been a victim. Because the word victim in Scientology, you never, there is nothing such as a victim.
No.
Because you attract everything that happens to you.
Yeah. But as a child, I don't think it's uncommon to feel yourself responsible if you're being sexually abused as a child, whether you are in a cult or not.
Yeah, but Scientology reinforced that idea.
Yes.
So I got into that, 100%. But then when I got into that, these last days of my spiritual journey in the Pentecostal church, and I left religion. And only about I went onto television, and I spoke to the Denis Lévesque, the interviewer, and I told him what happened between the two cults, how much my father was lost, was never at home, and then I said I got abused there because my father wasn't there, and it was the first time I was admitting it. I called it an abuse. Because until that day, for me, I was responsible for that, and I had to shut up, and because I did that, because I did that on television, and to that day, maybe 1 million persons saw that interview, and so I was really exposed, and I couldn't lie to myself anymore, and I had to to accept that I had been a victim, which was something really shameful to in Scientology, to be a victim. To call yourself a victim is not wanted to take responsibility for what you've attracted. So it's almost it's a sin, if we can call it so, or a major crime. That's what Albert likes to use as a term, a major crime, to consider yourself a victim. And it's disabling you from this power that you're searching for, to be a god and to say, I can attract a parking spot, and I can you believe that you're a god and you can postulate whatever you want. And so people adhere to that idea. People who have a low self-esteem will adhere if you tell them you're great. They adhere to it. But the low self-esteem is still there. There are reasons for that. If you don't do a real therapy, or not the bullshit in Scientology that takes you to past life and takes you to all, you have to go. And it's painful. And to be able to do these therapies, you have to agree to go lower than 2.0 on the table. You have to be able to go in the dark of the yin and yang. For me, the yin is the white, I think, and and the yang is the dark side. We all have this good voice on the side, and the dark voice on another side, like the Indian of America. They say, what wolf you're going to listen to, the black wolf or the white wolf. But you need to be able to talk to both. Yes. There was Carl Gustav Jung. You probably know about him. And for me, I really liked his idea of psychology, and he was talking about integration. For him, the whole meaning of life was to integrate the subconscious with the conscious, so the subconscious doesn't have power so much over you. But to be able to ally both, you have to go in there, and what's in there is like the boîte de Pandore. Do you use that term? The box of you don't know what's going to come out of there.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
If you start that search and you start to go into the dark side, you don't know what's there. And it can be because the psyche puts into your subconscious things that you're not ready to deal with. And when you go into a spiritual path or a therapy, well, you will go into that dark spot, and things can pop up that you have omnibulated from your reality. You would never believe that your father abused you, as an example, or you never believe that you saw your mother kill a kid in the back street. It's sitting there because you can't deal with that. So when you start the therapy, you start digging a little bit. When you're on the top of the scale, you're not going in there. You stay always on the top of the tone scale. That's what Scientology is. L. Ron Hubbard said that everybody below 2.0, either they need a lot of therapy and science, or we have to put them into exile them from society. Everybody that goes down. When you adhere to that idea, and when you're in Scientology, there's no way you're going to go down to compassion, empathy, all these, I don't know by heart, but there's a lot of all these feelings, where and sensitivity and
empathy and sympathy and pity, and
when you go into therapy, with a good, you start to have empathy for yourself, for your inner child, and have compassion. And I found myself talking to my inner child because he was in rage. He said, "What? Stop! I have things to say." The victim that was abused, and then I shut him up, and he was still there. And that's why I don't like therapy, that regression therapy, that put you into a state of hypnosis, makes you regress. That's dangerous, because there are some stuff that can come up that you're still not ready to deal with. And it will put you into anxiety and anguish, and you can start being anxious every day. You need to take pills, but the things that will come back up slowly with years, and with as you come more stronger, and you know that you have an husband that loves you, and you have good friends, and you start to feel more solid. So stuffs will come up, and then when it comes up, then you need to deal with it. But if you go into cults, you want to push it down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
most cults are like that.
Mm.
And even there are some evangelical churches where you have psychologists, but they won't let you go too much into that, you know. And they will. It's always like, I don't know. I never went to see a psych into an evangelical church, but there's still all this doctrine about what Jesus would have done, you know. Well, Jesus would forgive them. Yeah, but not me. I'm not there yet. I don't want to forgive them. For now, I am into anger, and I'd rather not see them because I don't know what's going to happen. That's how you feel. But then, and to religion, you know, they will bring forgiveness, and, you know, and just, you're a newborn Christian, you're a newborn, this is your old life, just forget it. Now you have a mission. And, you know, there's always this doctrine that comes with your true self and that confuse you.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how did you feel after being interviewed on national television and
I felt
speaking
like a
out? Was it
hero.
a release? Did you feel lighter, relieved, taking your power back, or?
The first time I went there, I was really afraid. Yes, it was taking my power back, and I did at the morning. I didn't know I was gonna go on national television at night. But I went to a press conference that was for written newspapers because we asked for a commission at the House of Commons before the deputy. We asked for a commission of inquiry on cult and sectarian behaviors that are happening, because here in Quebec it's like the paradise for gurus. Because they label themselves as religion, we cannot point them. It's their religion, so just let them do what they want. It's their problem. And often there's pedophilia and that, and preachers, people beating their child, but it's their religion, so we don't touch. There is a big principle in Canada, which is the freedom of religion, and it's
But
bad.
can
And a
any
certain
kind of cult, can any kind of cult be a religion? Is there no kind of control over different movements of what does it
it's
exactly
the
consist of?
problem is not religion. For me, the problem is not religion. You know, when you go and, as I said in other interviews, or you go into an Amazon and onto islands where people are not in touch with society, they never heard about Jesus Christ or about whatever, and they have a cult. I mean, they have their religion. They have a belief. You know, often they live in the forest, and they have the nature as a higher power. They have a higher power, and it was like that with the Indian of America before the Christian guy came here in the 1800s, 1700s. They believed, they had strong beliefs about the nature, you know, and they called themselves with the name of strong eagles and strong, you know, they made they had a lot of shaman, you know, that made tents with and then they would go into dissociation then too, and the hut, like the sauna, the purification rundown, that puts you into a state of dissociation. They would do that, you know. They never heard about Jesus Christ or about Hinduism or about Jewish or whatever. It's infringing. I believe it's a part of our nature to search for something more meaningful, or you know, and religion has been there forever. Way before, and every people that has started, they tried to abolish religion, like in the communist systems, and look how it turned. All people became zombies. They didn't become more. So me, I don't talk against religions. I talk about the bad that they do, and I talk about the criminal organization that hide themselves behind religion. And like Scientology, like the mission of the Holy Spirit, when you go see the founder, he was a criminal. He beat his wife and the head in front of his daughter. The guy was an asshole. And he started his thing, and he made a religion of it. And even today, when I talk about it, people will point me out and say, oh, shut up, it's their religion. Just let them. That's not a religion. They were abusers, they were taken into court many times for fraud and things like that. And so these are, but here in Canada, we have this idea about religion, that. But me, what I want to point out is I want to teach people the techniques that are used, which are mostly are used to do brainwashing. And then you have coercion techniques too, when you put people afraid that they're going to lose their family, or if you don't come and shut up and participate, then you're not welcome anymore. Sometimes they will use coercion, and people will just shut up and say, okay, that's my life. I want to stay in touch with my family, so I'll go every Sunday and every Wednesday, and I'll go knock the door. And these are the things I denounce. And there are some cults that are really, from the beginning, they have been created by criminals like L. Ron Hubbard and like Eugène Richer-Di La Flèche. But there are things that happens into Christianity or into Hinduism or and to any major religion that has to be denounced as sectarial derive. Is that the good term? Sectarial aberration, I think, is the term in English. In French, we say dérive sectaire. When you take control of people's life and you rip them from their choice, they have no more choice. And when you lie to them and you comfort them to your idea. The leader is a narcissistic, and you want people in the cult to think like him and to be like him and to walk like him. The guy is a psychopath. It's a level of narcissism that is a malady. It's a disease at that level.
Yeah, but I absolutely agree. There's always more like space to have something to believe in and religion. But I think there should be more control on which type of religions or so-called religions are being allowed to operate. For example, Scientology.
Yeah, well, Scientology is it's terrible. Yes. But if Scientology, it's almost finished here in Quebec because we put them really on the spot. I did another show on television, documentary about the purification rundown, and it's been exposed a lot here. And we have 2 Church of Scientology in Quebec, maybe some mission. They're empty.
Yeah,
they're empty.
Okay.
And they hold a lot of money and taxes. I don't know how much they're gonna hold on, how much they're gonna stay with.
Yeah, this is good for Osa, who is always watching my videos. So now they know it's not going well in Quebec, but
it's finished in Quebec, and me, I'm not done with them. I'm not done with them.
Yeah.
And,
they recently bought a building here next to the Saint Hill organization in Copenhagen, a similar size building for $26 million.
And that's why they put their money in. Because this building at 26 million, it will probably be worth 50 million in 5-6 years. And they get the Scientologists to pay the taxes and to pay everything for the building and to clean the building and renovate it.
Yes.
And many cults do that. Many cults. And the Brahma Kumaris, they tell to the Brahmin, who are the people involved, to build spiritual universities of the Brahma Kumaris instead of spending their money somewhere else. And so they want people to invest into the immobilier, we say in French, the buildings, and
Yes.
the Jehovah Witness do that too. They get their churches
Yes.
built by
Yeah. But here they've been allowed to do whatever they want, more or less, because people do not want to get involved. And that's why I'm involved now, because I think we need to keep on calling out
yeah.
Scientology.
That's great, and I'm happy to know that people came from Sweden to go and
Yes.
support you, and from other countries, and
Yes.
that will need. And there is another thing we need to keep in mind, and I went into Mexico for holidays a few weeks ago when I worked on my book, and I spoke with Mexicans, and Scientology over there. They have a good opinion of it because they don't know. Most I say the people I spoke to, this, that's all. I have a friend who goes there, and is that the Tom Cruise thing, and so this is another country that we need to take care, because in Colombia, see, Miscavige was quite close from colonel of the armies, and I don't know what happened in Colombia. Is that the Colombia, the country, and then Mexico. So all the South America. So I had as a project now to translate my book into Spanish, but I'm gonna wait for that. I already have Over the Top with the English version and the French one.
Yeah.
But
but my point was basically just the fact that, I think humans, they have a sense of wrong or right, but we can be intimidated by speaking our truth, whether it is the Me Too movement, or it's calling out something else that is criminal, not necessarily even related directly to yourself. But I think we need to be more brave to state our opinions.
Yeah, when I started deprogramming, I had all these insomnia. There's another thing that came up, and it was, if you take a position, you will always have opposition, like a tree. You have to fight the wind and the snow, and so if you want to take a position, of course there are people that are gonna oppose it to you. But for me, it was a way to cure myself, to take position and to confront them. And that, when you said about when I went to the first time on television, I felt much better. And my son saw me on television, but he didn't understand what I saw, what I was talking about, because he was like 2-3 years old, my first son. But he called me a superhero when I came back. He said, I saw you're a superhero. But he didn't know why I was there to confront Scientology and the mission of the Holy Spirit.
But he was right.
That's how I felt a bit, My self-esteem came up so much. I was proud of myself. And I did have some people. They came into my place, and the ground in the front of my place, they put toilet paper rolls. And they did there was another interview that came out in the newspaper, another thing about Scientology, the same thing happened. There was full of toilet paper, and then it rained that day. So it was disgusting. But that's how I knew that it was them doing that. It was a Scientologist leaving True Blood from where I was that was doing that. But if not, the only thing I lost is mostly family, that they really started seeing me as a suppressive person.
Before do you still have some of your siblings in Scientology?
Yes, I have many uncles and cousins, a few cousins, and 2 or 3 uncles that are still in Scientology, and my dear niece that is probably at Flag or in California. I never hear of her, and it's sad because my brother died 10 years ago, about 12, now 12, 13. That's her father. So now she's over there, and her mom is still, I don't know if she's still on staff, but I'm quite sure she's still a Scientologist. So, this is sad, but when you want to get out of religion, of that kind of cults, and you have to put a cross on family. All these family values, and that's what I did, because I'm used to that. They did it to me. I was 6. I went to my aunt, and she says, "No, you're not playing with my son." Because my father told her, "No, we're not going back to the mission." She started seeing me as a son of Satan, and she didn't let me play with her kid. So from very young, I learned that, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But for us, family, it's like I have three sisters. I have three sisters. One I speak to with her, but the two other sisters, they don't speak to me. And it's not only about Scientology. It's because it's what we learn into these cults. If people don't adhere to your beliefs, they don't agree with you, just cut ties with them. And that's really sad.
Yes.
Because
and unnecessary.
You can't have a divergence of opinion with someone, because then they will start seeing you as evil or a suppressive person, or because you're touching they start doing dissonance, cognitive. You're going into their values, but they function with the beliefs they were excrustated and declinated, and now you go and you touch their values, and it makes them bing, 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 bing inside. I saw that with my small sister. Often she starts screaming, and then you can talk to her. I have to shut the line. I haven't talked to her for 5 years. But everybody says she's not in Scientology anymore. But she still wants to stay up and the tone scale. She doesn't want to go there. And that happens with a lot of Scientologists that leave Scientology. Then that happened to me. I searched. I went into the Brahma Kumaris, into the Anglican Church, and then I went into Pentecostalism, and I did the same. That's called upping. It's like a drug, Religious doctrines, intense religious doctrine like that. It's like a drug that cuts you from your reality and takes you into an utopia, an utopic idea of the world and of yourself.
So even if you remove yourself from the situation, it will not cure you out of the indoctrination. You need to work on.
You need to
yourself.
Work on the deprogrammation, and I don't know. I think I've been very lucky to be able to. It was hell when I wasn't sleeping, and I was anguish. I had anguish crisis. It was this terrible. But I'm so happy I went through that, and I wrote the book, and I started studying about dissociation and about brainwashing, and I started to go see a psych. I went to see a psych. When I started to deprogram myself, I understood why I was so scared of psych. And when the first time I went to see a psych that was referred to me by InfoSec, InfoCult in Montreal, I go into the guy's office, and there is a big barrier and metal like in a gel that cuts his office in two with all the documents, and did not start well with me. I get into there. All my life I'm being told that they are in me, and they will put things in your eyes, to lobotomize you, and they will. Me, I enter his office, and there is this small gel in his office. So I went into the other part of the office, and I started talking with him. But then I told him that my problem was about Scientology, and it was difficult for me to be there to talk to him. And I told him about this thing. Then he explained to me. He says, it's because I keep the folders of my patient on the other side. And it's also to protect himself, because sometimes you have patients that can become violent, and so he go behind he locks himself there and call 911. And then he explained me. He says, it's not you. He says, never the patient will go behind the bars there. It's either me or the okay, and but still there. It took me a long time to trust these people.
But for a Scientologist, it must be especially difficult when you take into consideration the auditing process, where you are always, I have understood, you are kept in a room so that your auditor is sitting in front of the door, so you are feeling trapped.
Yeah, you
So
can't get out. If the
yeah,
auditor has good TRs, you will not get out, and you
yeah,
will even use force, physical force
mm,
not to let you. He'll put you back on the chair and you say, answer
mm,
the question, take the cans back, and then you
mm,
take this monotonous tone. Uh,
mm,
okay, and now why did you leave that place in a hurry? Or
mm,
what did
yeah,
you do? Yes, it is, and
yeah,
this I never really realized it. But you know me, I'm kind of claustrophobic.
yeah,
I can't sleep with my door closed.
yeah,
I need to have the door open and to the living room and have a light in the living room to feel that I'm free.
yeah. I
And
can totally understand that.
this it might come from there. You know,
Yeah.
I'm still fucked
Mm,
up,
mm,
but much less than I was.
yeah,
You know, I'm
yeah,
becoming happier and happier, and I feel more free every day. And but I
yeah,
still have stuff to work on, and I have post-traumatic stress disorder.
mm,
I'm working on it, but
yeah,
it was not easy. But you know what I tried to do with my book is to turn that horror story into something worthy. Because
yes,
if you read the book thoroughly and understand it, you will you will recognize technique. If you get into a
mm,
group, you will recognize brainwashing techniques,
mm,
and you will learn how some really bad people create religions,
yes,
like Albert and like Eugène Richer La Flèche, and so I don't tell people don't go into religion,
mm,
but don't go in there with what I say. Don't go in there with your eyes shut.
mm,
And you know, and the term psycho spirituality, the psycho becomes first.
mm,
If you are not well psychologically, don't go in
mm,
a church
mm,
that try to find answer in that bullshit they call spirituality, but it's not spirituality.
mm,
Spirituality for me is what we're doing, me and you right
mm,
now. For me, I'm living a moment of spirituality right now because I trust you and I accept to open myself to people I don't even see the chat. You know,
mm.
there might be a way to see that. I don't know if there are people in it, but
Yeah, there are people there.
yeah, you know, and this for me, this is spirituality. Spiritualities are getting back in touch with your personal values. But when you go into cults, they will cut you with these personal values,
Mm,
and they will teach you that people outside are bad, and you
mm,
need to stop believing that, and you need to go back inside and to start open your eye and see that people are not bad,
mm.
unless you're an Ukrainian and you're in front of us. Of course, there is you know a negative side of the, but
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me that's what spirituality is. You know, I work as a caregiver less and less because now I do music for the old people. For
Mm,
me, spirituality is when I need to go clean someone, you know, that he has it all over himself, but he can't, you know. And I was taking care of a man. It was for 5 years. He was paralyzed completely. Sometimes he opened his eyes, he look at me like that. But if
mm.
not every day, I had to wash him and put a new. We don't use the term diaper normally, but I don't know the other term in English. And you
Yeah.
know, and I have to wash him, and I have to.
Mm,
For me, this is what spirituality is.
mm,
You know, when you put your own fear beside, and when I started doing it, it was scary, and there was
mm.
a big demand there. And for me, it was a way to get involved into society
Yes.
because they missed caregiver so much because
Mm,
nobody wants to do it.
mm.
And me, I was still searching for some sense, and so I went. And the president, our prime minister, was on television asking us to go and get involved to help the.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do it because I always loved working. I did music for older people. I don't know the
Mm,
term in English, when they get old, the third age, and I always had a good connection with them when
mm,
I play music, and I like the music from there. I like the music from 60, 70, and so I always had great fun. And then I had a good relationship with them. So I said, let's go. I'll go out, help a little more.
yeah.
So I joined the program and I became a caregiver. And the first day I had to wash a woman.
Mm,
It was not. Sometimes they play with their thing, and they put it in the
mm,
front here, and you have
mm,
to scrub it for it to go out.
mm,
And sometimes the women still have sensations, and
mm,
it's not easy. But for me, this is spirituality.
mm,
This is what makes a person grow spiritually.
mm, yeah.
Is to adhere to the spiritual principle that are compassion, love for others, and empathy. Everything that's in the bottom of the
Yeah.
when you see a Scientologist. If I see a Scientologist, I tell him I'm a caregiver. He's gonna
Mm.
look at me like that, like if I'm a loser or if I'm a, you know.
Yeah, but it's incredibly important work. So a Scientologist opinion about anyone does not carry much weight, I would say. Can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the book uh, and the decision? Did you just start to write, or was it with a purpose of writing a book?
Me, this my journey, it lasted. It's still on today, and I'm 53. It's
Mm.
still going on today. But around 44,
Mm-hmm.
just before I wrote this book, I wrote other stories like
Mm-hmm.
novels. I would get into. I would wake up in the morning with some a flash in my head, and I could start to write. And it was the beginning of a novel.
Mm.
I would start with that dream. One day I had a dream that I was leaving in a train for an hour on an hour. So I started writing. And then after I write my book, small novels, I realized I'm talking about myself in it. And the
Mm.
guy left because he had problem with his father, and because he got cut by his girlfriend watching porno, and it turned into. And I read that, and it's all about me. And he goes
Mm.
into this other part of Canada, and he meets an old French, and he start talking a lot with that man, and you know
Mm.
it was all me. It was all about myself because I left to Europe one day,
Mm.
and then so I started. I took my writing to another level. So I said,
Mm.
when I write my fiction, it
Mm-hmm.
was not fiction. When I write fiction, I'm connected.
Mm.
You know, a good author, when you write a sex scene, you have a
Mm-hmm.
hard on. That's for sure. I'm sorry. I hope, but that's what happened when you write. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
when you
No,
write
but now I do.
fiction. I mean, I don't write sex scene on every
Mm.
page. It's just a good example, of. Have you ever imagined yourself being? You see someone on television that has been cut on the
Mm.
arm with a big knife and bleeding, and
Mm.
then you imagine if it happens to you.
Yes. Yes.
Me, I had
Especially.
shivers everywhere.
Yeah.
You
Especially
know?
anything where people have to hold their breath, like underwater. You
Yeah,
hold your breath automatically because you
yeah, it
are.
affects you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is why it triggers me so much, that thing
Mm.
about the knife. It's
Mm.
probably connected with something in my subconscious.
Mm.
So if I persevere a little bit with that feeling, and I start writing about this, things will pop up from the subconscious, and I'm connected with myself. I'm into the novel. I am into the writing. But so when I started at that epoch of my life, I was into the last Pentecost church I went
Mm.
to, and I couldn't lie to myself anymore.
Mm.
And I saw that in the church there were things I did not agree with, and
Mm.
I would start writing letters to give to the preacher who was a friend of mine. I would go have a coffee in his office almost every week, and I write. And one time was about when you want to bring somebody to your church, because in the church they push a lot for you to bring new people. So évangéliser in French, you go to evangelize people. And then I start saying, but if you're not true with what you're saying to these people, they feel it, or they can feel that you're just trying to bring them so I started writing a lot on the theme of authenticity. And this is how I started writing. And then I decided, when I left the Pentecostal church, the last place, because they've been assholes with me. But me, I was at that point in my life that I was starting to have post-traumatic stress disorder. I could not endure anymore people that were similar to this man that abused me, and many other people that abused me. And now that's enough. The voice inside the ear was stronger than my voice outside.
Yes.
So sometimes he would take control of myself, and I would start talking to these people like they got scared. And so this is, I couldn't lie to myself. I started writing the book. And then when I left the church there, I was mad at them. But I realized so many things. So I kind of connected this authentic writing to what I wanted to say about cults. And what I wanted. So I had to build a book that was there was one side a little bit like a memoir or a thesis of and also I wanted to use my story to expose what happened to me. Yes. So it became so the authenticity of writing about my story. I cried a lot when I wrote the book. There are things that I had pushed down,
Yes.
That when it came back up, I cried a lot. I was touched, because, as I say, when I write, I am connected. If I write a scene about something that is great on the table to eat, myself, I'm gonna have. I'm connected with my writing.
Yes,
so that's why many people enjoyed the book, because they feel that it's. I bring them into my intimacy, and I am myself through it. And then I had to bring the other side, because at a certain point here, there was a Jehovah's Witness woman. When she gave birth to her daughter, she needed blood, and she refused it, and she died. And it was all over the media. And this is when we wanted to do that petition to bring to the House of Commons, using that situation to try to bring light on the subject. And I wanted that book to be a little more. So I brought citation quotes, from specialists, and when I explain dissociation, and I bring things to support my story, that is my life, and to explain.
Yes.
Because at that moment is when also I agreed to call myself a victim.
Yes.
And I agreed to go in front of the parliamentary and tell my story as a victim,
Yes.
And so to show that why I felt like a victim, what happened to me, why do I say I was victim of cult? Then I had to bring all the nonsense I got taught in Scientology, how it led my life after. And I had to explain the processes they use to put us into a state of consciousness, an altered state of consciousness, and I exposed that. And so it became like half scientific and half a memoir. But I wrote a memoir on the top of the book. The poster is there. But yes. I'm not sure it's a good idea, because when I started this project, I was still confused, and today I'm still learning a lot. And so I decided, how am I going to market this book? Because I don't have no PhD but I have this wisdom, this connaissance, not wisdom, but this knowledge that I learned through my journey. And but I said the best way for me, because also if I was gonna start exposing Scientology, I wanted to expose it as a victim, so
Yes.
I had the right to talk.
Yes.
You will never hear me talking about just a bit, sometimes about Jehovah's Witnesses,
Mm.
but me, I talk about what I know. I talk about
Mm.
the movement I have been in. I talk about what I have seen, what I have experimented, and what it did to me.
Mm.
So that's why I said it's my story. I use my so I called it a memoir. But I see when many people who read it, they said that they learned a lot, and
Yes, because
where
you have included a lot of facts there and history of these cults, and I can definitely agree with you that the book is very raw and honest,
yeah, it's raw.
and it's an
It's not
excellent
easy,
book.
but it's not
Yeah.
easy to read. But that's
Mm.
my reality. That's
Yes.
no bullshit. I
Yes.
can say, I can try to add sentences where to say, "Oh, today is a great day," and I had fun yesterday with my friends. But that's not what I want to talk about.
No.
So I bring the subject. The subject is there, and I also talk about my deprogrammation and how I
Mm.
managed to get out of that when I got into the um, cul-de-sac in French. But when you get into a street, it doesn't go anywhere. You have to go back
Yes.
on your
Yeah.
and and at the end, it becomes more positive because I tell in the book, everything that I learned.
Yes.
I'm trying to take the reader, into my story, so he can experience what I lived, and he can identify himself to me. So
Yes.
I think it became more of a self-help book for cult hoppers
Mm.
to help people conscientize what happens and the journey they're going through and they're trying to get out of. And so I don't know. I might start an all new marketing and make it a self help book or something. But now I'm working much on the French version, and I
Mm.
will try to get a real publisher,
Yeah,
a big
but
publisher.
currently it's available on Amazon, and the link has been shared. Is the French version also
It's
available
not
at the moment?
available. You know what happened? I had two accounts on Amazon with the same
Mm-hmm.
email. I called Amazon. I said, "Can you close this account? I don't want two accounts."
Mm-hmm.
My first account was on my name from the cult La Flèche Francoeur. But then
Mm-hmm.
when I became Michel Francoeur, because I changed my name legally,
Mm.
I wanted to close La Flèche Francoeur. But so I called Amazon. They tell me, "Okay, we understand, sir. No problem." And the day after, I saw they closed both. They closed all my account that was related to the same email. La
Mm.
Flèche Francoeur and Michel Francoeur were related
Mm.
to the same email. So they closed off. So the book, I just couldn't access the book anymore. But I
Okay.
saw it as an act of God, because
Mm.
my book, the book at the level it is today, and the one I had published 3 or 4 years ago, it's not the same anymore at all. And when I wrote the book in English, and when I started working on the audiobook,
Mm.
my whole writing changed. It
Yeah.
improved a lot. My
Okay.
understanding, and so the French version now will be great. Even if
Yes.
the people who read the first version, they liked it and they said they learned a
Mm.
lot. But it was mostly people from my family, people close
Mm-hmm.
to me, a few friends, but mostly my family, my cousins who are ex-Scientologists, who have people and I had great. But now I'm working on this new version, but I've put too much in it, too much money, too much. That's it. I'm gonna try to find a professional publisher who buys the manuscript, who takes the manuscript, and help
Yes.
me with putting it out there, because it's too difficult as a self-publish to sell books, to put it in people's hands. It's not even
Yeah.
about the money. I've put so much money into these audio book, English book, French book. I would be very surprised if I get back just the money I've put in,
Yes.
through my life. But
Yeah.
this, if you count the time, I put thousands of hours in it. I don't know how many hours.
Yeah.
The time I've put in the book.
Mm. But it will be your legacy, and your son will think still that you're a superhero.
Yes, I
Uh,
hope so. I hope
yeah.
it all turns well.
Yeah. So the audiobook, is that in English or French?
It's not ready, the audiobook. It's on hold
Okay.
because now
Okay.
I don't have any more money to put into that. I
Yeah.
spent around $10,000 in the last few years,
Wow.
on it, and
Yeah.
I've put a lot of time. And now I have openings in my music career, so I
Mm-hmm.
want to push onto that. I practice 2-3 hours of guitar every day, and I want to go into that. Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. At the end of the day, I wanted to get my life back.
Of
So
course.
if I'm always into the cult thing, they still have some kind of grasp on me. So no,
Yeah.
I have to be able to put that a little aside and give it. Now I'm gonna give it just a few hours a week, because when I wrote the book, I would get up in the middle of the night to write. I would get up at
Mm.
3, 4, and then I would become. It was difficult to write the book, to go into my past, and to I became my wife and my kids. I think they are very happy I'm done with writing the book, because I was
Yeah.
like, it was also triggering. I would get into,
Yeah. Of course.
yeah.
Yeah. So everyone go and check out. The link has been shared here now several times in the chat, and it's also in my video description. And it's a very reasonably priced book as well. So,
Yeah, because the idea is not about making money. It's
mm,
putting this out there, and I never made money with it.
yeah,
The amount I sold, it's like a day of work when I go work at the hospital, and
yes,
but it's a life project,
yes, of
and
course.
it saved me to get into that. It changed me so much, writing this book, learning all this stuff about me, and going back into my childhood to see what was still hurting inside. Why that there was something in me. I was still banging in my chest, and I
Mm,
went and I went. I saw it, and I listened. I always talk about that duality, about an inner child, but we all have everybody has voices sometime in their head that talks to them about, and then you have the black wolf, the white wolf, and sometimes, it's the post-traumatic stress comes,
yes,
and I want to cure myself from that. So I have to look at it. And
yes,
that what the book did to me. And today I'm very proud of myself, the way I got out of all that.
yeah,
And I managed to take my life back. And my music project, that's from a long time ago. I was 7 or 8 years old. I was a kid, and that, I
mm,
think, helped me a lot in my journey, to have this dream. I wanted to be a singer, a guitar player, a singer, and do music since I'm 7 years old, and it
yeah.
never left me. And I think that helped me to cling on something.
Yeah, that's great. Should we look a little bit of the comments and questions that we have here?
Yeah,
I'll
it's a
just
shame I can't read them after the interview is done. I can't read the comments because I don't
oh,
like
I
if
will
you.
put them up here. So first of all, Irismar, don't give that some memberships here. Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. Fluffer Squirrel UK saying it's an incredibly powerful book.
Thank you.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. MD Media has also became a member, which is very much appreciated. Thank you, Matt. Ariel is saying if you look up Mission of the Holy Spirit, it says it's not a cult. Funny how they deceive people like Scientology.
Well, they out say we're not a cult.
Mm,
Nobody's saying, "Oh, well, come here. We're a cult. We're gonna take you apart from society, and we're
mm.
gonna brainwash you."
Yeah,
They say
it
it's
could
not a cult.
be. Yeah, I'm not sure where they looked it up, but for example, Scientology, if you look it in Wikipedia, it will say that it is a cult, actually.
But yeah, but now a mission of the Holy Spirit is coming out more and more. But there have been written articles in major newspapers here in
Hmm.
Quebec from 20-25 years ago, where it's labeled as a cult.
Yeah,
And even one day, there was a woman. She didn't want her husband to bring the kids to that place, and the judge here, they went to court, and the judge read the questionnaire of the mission of the Holy Spirit, which I'm using in my book, and he said, "Madame, you are right. Your children shouldn't go in that plane, that place, that assembly." So he ordered the man to never bring his child back to that place. So that's quite serious. So it is, but them on their side of cult, they will not say it's a cult. And also, this happened in big mainstream religions, like Catholic Church. When you go into the charismatic, I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yes.
There's a branch of their Catholic Church that I don't consider a cult, but there is a branch. There are branch like the Opus Dei or the charismatic, where they do a lot of talking with the Holy Spirit, and they get into trance state, and this can become cultic. There are a branch of big religion, or in Islam. You know, if you look at Mahomet's writing or whatever, I don't know, but Islam is considered a religion, when there are branches that are very, very cultic, and the main Islam religion rejects them. They are cults. So it's, but here in Canada, we're stuck with a problem. We don't have any legal definition for the word cult.
Yeah.
We don't have a definition for that. Now the definition they manage, the sociologist, the definition they managed to push through our throat was a new religious movement. And now if you're a cult, I just created a new religion. That's a right you have here. Then you'll be recognized as a religion.
Yes.
A new religious movement. I talk a bit about it on the book, but more in the French version.
Yeah. MD Media 18 is saying, you always have wonderful guests. Thank you. I am very thankful, Michel, that you came today and had this conversation with me.
I always like doing that.
Yes. And Emily is saying the core beliefs are formed when we are children. Apparently, those are the beliefs that's the hardest to break, even if you logically know.
Yeah, because your identity is built around that. But you know, when we're talking about children, or when you go into an evangelical church, you know, often they will tell you, you have to think like children. You have to be like children to access the kingdom of heaven. You have to stop using your rational thinking and be like a children and listen at me. I'm going to tell you what to think and what to do. I'm not calling, it's in the Bible, you know. So it's really delicate, you know, to talk about Christianity. And but when you think about, she's right, you know, and then, but you can be brainwashed as an adult and adhere to beliefs that even as much as if you were a kid. But that's what we do in deprogramming, when a person joins a cult later, but that's what they do, because I don't really do that, but I do it as writing. You try to go to memories before the cult, when you were a kid. What were your dreams? What were, you know, Stephen Hassan talks about that in his books.
Yes. Lara FM is here. Are you familiar with Lara?
A little bit. I'm supposed to talk with her. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Okay, I look forward to that. She's originally from Canada, but
is she? I know she's in California.
Yeah, her parents, her mother was a ballet dancer in Canada, but they got involved with Scientology and moved. Yeah, so I look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk with her. She seems cool too. I like her look.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a rock star.
Yeah.
Haggis Basher, also in Canada. Are you done with organized faith in your life now that you have seen they all seem to have similar qualities?
100%.
Yeah.
You'll never see me back. But I'm not done with the trance states and the modified state of consciousness. First, because I have post-traumatic stress disorder sometimes. That puts me into these states. So I have, by learning about it, you know, I know more how to get back into. It's like if you go into an extremity, and I know how to ground myself back. But I'm still in meditation. But now I do In French, we say pleine conscience, where when I meditate, I listen to my breath and my nose. I feel when the air is colder, and I listen at the cars passing. I meditate to be in the present moment, because what I learned in the Brahma Kumaris, when I went to the Brahma Kumaris, wanted to learn about meditation. They taught me transcendental meditation, where you meditate on focusing on a point, and that's some kind of self hypnosis. And this is something that is very touchy for me, and I don't go there anymore. But I still have to work a lot on my state of consciousness, because I was fucked up on that. When I went to the evangelical churches at the end, I hallucinated. I saw the rain of heaven falling in the church. So this, but I had visions like that, and I never had any more for the maybe 7-8 years. When I stopped, when I decided it's finished, I put myself into trance state in my room, and then I start giving me, try to transform me, to touch my, and this is when I hallucinated. And one day when I saw the face of my father appear in the mirror, like if he was there, he took my thread and he appeared, and he said he loved me, because I was talking to my inner child, and I was doing this exercise that I saw in some psychologist book, and talk to yourself and tell yourself you're proud of yourself and you're gonna make it. So I started talking to myself, and then I say, I love you like you are, I love you. And then I see the face of my father appear in the mirror, and he was telling me I love you, and that's what I waited all my life for. My father never told me he loved me, never touched me, never gave me a hug, and that had ruined my life. But without thinking it, I was not thinking about my father when this happened. He just appeared there, and I realized that this is when I realized that it's my subconscious, it's my psyche that put that image there to cure me. It has nothing to do with the soul of my father coming into my room, and this is when I realized that what I experienced in the evangelical church, it was also my psyche provoking it. And then I realized that when I saw Jesus touch me, when I became newborn Christian, that these days, it was the image of the Jesus from my childhood. That was from the movie of Francoeur. It's an image I had taken in my unconscious, and he came there, and I saw Jesus. He come and touch me, but it was so fun,
Yeah.
And I needed that day.
Yeah.
I was deep in depression, but my psyche helped me to cure myself. I needed to feel forgiven, and I needed to feel that clean from because there are many things I don't talk about in the book. All my teenage years, I kind of skipped, because when I was in the juvenile center, I would run away often, and because I have children, I don't have to tell everything about. I said teenager is something sacred. When you get to 18, normally they take your teenager folder, and it doesn't exist. You cannot. So I gave that right to me too, and but I was destroyed inside. I've been to many rock bottoms. So what I experiment, this hallucination, it helped me. It helped me when these days I felt like, wow, that's amazing. I was like in paradise, and it helped me to go through another day, But after, when I saw my father's face, I realized it was it's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But it was not really like lying to myself. It was curing. It was good for me. It was okay. And we say that the subconscious, if he doesn't know if what you're telling him is right or wrong, he just adhere to what you're telling me.
Yeah, you needed it at that moment.
he saw my father in the mirror. He thinks that my father told me he loved me. That's how it works. The subconscious. That's what they do in hypnosis. They accept. They put idea in you. Then you wake up from the hypnosis and you start jumping like a chicken, or touching your head every time the guy says hello. You touch your head, and these are our psyche. It's our world. And it was amazing what happened to me, and it was part of my it was part of my curing myself. I don't find a good word, to cure myself, or a guérison, my guérison from my mental illness. It passed right there. And it was fantastic. And this is what I started being more interested into state of consciousness, a modified state of consciousness. And I know today I could do that transcendental meditation and get really fast on my case because I did so much into that trance state. And then I could program myself, and tell me that I play like Jimi Hendrix and I sing like Elton John. And, I could program myself like they do in cults.
Yeah.
That's what they do in cults. They put you in a modified state and then they tell you from now on, when you're a Scientologist, you're a god. You're superior to everybody outside and you become a billionaire one day. That's about what
maybe this is then a good question here. Balazs is asking, have you used any of the knowledge in real life that you studied in cults? Do you think there's some kind of skills that is applicable to
I don't think so.
real world?
No. And I reject it.
Yeah.
People, that's the problem with ex-Scientologists, they think that Scientology was great. And there are many things that when you leave the cult, you still use. Like when I get sick, if I get sick, years ago, I would search for an SP around me, somebody oppressing me. That's why I'm sick. Or when I make mistakes or make many mistakes because I am under oppression. When you're in Scientology, they use that. They say you're oppressed by an anti-Scientology. You need to push that person. So I have the reflex sometimes to find for an SP around me. But that's bullshit. I'm sick because I got the virus. You got all these people feel so powerful. Oh, me, I don't need a vaccine. I don't need medication. They die at 66 like my father. He was diabetic. They told him he wouldn't take the metformin. He wouldn't take the medication. So he died. And he wouldn't take care of his health. So one day he got the flu. And it was terrible for 3 days. And when he came back to life, he ate a complete apple pie full of sugar. And so he had a major heart attack that night and he died.
Yeah.
But if he had listened to the doctors, he's probably still alive today.
Yeah. That's a very good example.
And most an habit I took from Scientology that I still use with parsimony. Can you say that in English? With parsimony? Very little. It's about the study tech,
Okay.
There are some good things in there, but and the church, they use the study tech to tell you that you're wrong. When your thinking is not in accord with what you're reading, they say, look for a misunderstood word or do yourself demos. So the study tech is helpful, but they use it in a bad way. And that's what Scientology does a lot. It takes things that can be helpful and they use it to break you and to control you and to manipulate you. So that's what they did that to me. I was a kid. I started reading Albert. I was only 11 and I didn't agree with what I was reading. And I told the supervisor, I don't agree with that word. And then I went to leave the course. He said, that was going to be a blow. So I found myself into ethic. I told him, I don't. Then he said, oh, no, look for a word you don't understand or look higher and look. And they always look for a word. Look for. I said, tabarnak. Tabarnak is a French
curse word.
Curse word.
Yes.
So I said, fuck. So I'm going to say, okay, sir. And then I started searching for a word and I got into their manipulation. If you don't agree with Albert tells you, it's because there's something you don't understand.
Yeah.
You do this equal to that. If you don't agree, it's because there's something you didn't get. But it's bullshit what he writes. Most of what he writes is.
Yeah, I totally agree. At least the
so
things
I'm very, very. I did not find many things into.
Yeah.
But of course, someone who is often oppressed with people, like I say, a woman that is oppressed by her husband. Normally, she's not in the best shape. So there are things we always have to It's like I told you at the beginning, where
Mm,
everything you put in the garbage and then you pick up with parsimony.
mm,
Parsimony means very small.
mm.
There are small things, and
Yeah, yeah. Tiltybird is saying no one pulls in or causes their own abuse, especially not children.
yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, I agree. And today I agree. But when I was young, I
Mm,
fantasies on the idea that I had been a cowboy in my other
mm,
life, and I had been this and that. I had traveled another universe. There was a fantastic. I liked the idea that I was powerful. And that
mm,
I could
yeah.
postulate the career I want. And
Mm,
Albert was saying be, do, and be, do, have, or yeah, be the have. Saying be what you want to be. And so I thought I was a star, even before I put my foot on the stage. So I thought I had
mm,
no work to do to play. Oh,
mm,
the music, it's gonna come by itself. The voice, God gave me that voice. I already had it. I thought I didn't have to work on it. I didn't have anything because he said, be do have, just be an artist and go and do it. Sometimes,
mm,
you know, this
yeah.
is another thing in Scientology that you see everybody think differently. Today it's not bidouaf. This is bullshit. Because he
Mm,
says what you think is right for you. It's right. Okay,
yeah.
so me, I'm a star. I'm
Mm,
a narcissist, and everybody has to put a red carpet in front of me when I come in the place. I
mm,
used to be a big head.
yeah. Antics of a Mama's Girl is writing in French, but I think she's saying that your courage is inspiration. I
Yes.
think you yes.
Well, ça me
Uh,
fait plaisir. Moi, ça fait partie de mon rétablissement. I told her it's part of my rétablissement. My getting better. When I talk about that, and when I help people, and
Mm,
it helps me. I
yeah.
don't do it
Speaking
only
is
for
part of
others.
the healing.
Yeah, and
Speaking out.
and not being ashamed anymore. I've
Mm,
been ashamed so long. And
yeah.
now today, when I talk about that, I see that many people have lived what I went through.
Mm,
Yeah, many people that the only thing, the saddest thing is that they won't talk about it.
yeah.
But many people went through worse than what I went through.
Mm. Yes, but the trauma is not something to be compared between
Yeah,
others
I've
trauma.
always
Yes.
been very sensitive.
Mm,
That's why I love old people. I like to take care of old people.
mm,
And in French we say un homme rose. I'm a bit
mm.
of a pink man. I don't know if they use that. The man that stays at home and replace well, I don't do so much cleanup. That's not true. It's mostly my wife. But I'm the contrary of a macho,
Okay. Okay.
a guy that doesn't care about showing his feminine side, and
Yeah.
be nice and
Yeah.
gentle. And
Yeah. Fluffer Squirrel is yeah flagging for the tone 1.1. That's
yeah, she's
yeah.
talking about gays being on at
Yes.
1.1.
Yes. Yes.
1.1 is when you have a nice smile on your face, but you have a knife in your back and you're just ready to stab the people. Albert
Yeah.
was saying that homosexual were at that level, and
Yes.
yeah, you cannot trust an homosexual. He's
Yeah.
deviant, and he's gonna he's gonna
Yeah,
cut
but I
you.
love this. Homosexuals, gays are reclaiming the tone
Yeah,
1.1.
yeah.
So
Well, this
yeah,
is
GM Flower is
thanks.
saying,
Thanks
Michelle,
for
thank
being
you for.
there. Thanks for being
Th-
there.
yeah, thank you for speaking up.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Amy M is saying, Michelle, that's such great work that you do, referring to the care
the
work that
caregiver.
you have been doing. Yeah,
I
caregiver.
love
Yeah.
doing that. What I have
Mm.
problem with is the structure and the hospital.
Yeah, and
They
I
don't
assume
give.
it's very pressuring work as
Oh, it's
well.
terrible. It's terrible. I don't want to do that anymore. But I want to do animation with the. I want to stay in touch with these people, but as
Mm,
a more through music and animation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. GM Flower donated 20 memberships. Thank you so much, everyone who got a membership. Please thank GM Flower, as well as Kirby's been a member for 2 months. Kirby's mom is also saying congratulations on self-publishing, Michelle. Not easy. Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah. The
Yeah,
book is there, but sometime if I could get a publisher, I think that I would put the book in his hands, and because
yeah.
for now, I don't do any more publicity, no more marketing,
Mm,
and it doesn't really sell. I sell once in a while. I think
yeah.
that what I have to bring to people through that book should
Mm,
be it should be more available. That's why I kept the price low. And with
mm,
Amazon KDP, you cannot go lower than the price.
mm.
It takes them to print the book and to so you have a
Mm.
certain minimum.
Yeah, yeah. But your book is timeless, and whether it's published 2 years ago or from 20 years from now, I think it's still relevant as
And
long as cults are existing in
I
this
would
world.
probably do a re-edition of that book sometime because I'm learning so much. And this book finishes at 2016, around 2000,
Mm-hmm.
when I got back on Earth, when I fell from my pink cloud, and it finishes around there. I talk about, but I've learned so much since 2017 and today, and
Yeah,
so I think one day I might add another chapter at the end.
yeah. And then I just wanted to take this up because Pearl Snappy is activist, also protesting Scientology and turning the question upside down. What did you pull in the Scientology to be protested? I think
I don't understand it.
so. So because Scientology is teaching that you are pulling something in.
Oh, okay.
So
It's a joke. It's a joke,
it's a
kind of
joke,
joke.
yes.
What I
So
did
what?
to put myself into it. Yeah.
Yeah, what has Scientology done to pull in the protest movement?
This is so. This is so triggering and delicate. It's a joke, but it's still. When I was about 35 and I
Mm,
quit with Scientology for real,
mm,
I had a discussion with my father before I left for
mhm,
Europe for 3 been in Europe. When I went to France, I lived there without papers for a while, and I said I'll never go back to Canada until my dad is dead. And the last discussion I had with him, he told me, you choose that to born in the mission of the Holy Spirit. You knew what your life was going to be.
mm,
He was sure that I was a reborn into the mission of the Holy Spirit is a eugenic cycle where you're
mm,
reborn. You're reborn in the cycle of regeneration, and after 4 of these cycles, you're like Jesus.
mm,
So he says, you choose me as a father because I told him everything that he had done. And the pedophiles would come into our house and my father would offer them a coffee.
mm,
It was terrible. He put my sister on the knees of his friend. She was 12 years old. Things
mm,
like that. I told him and he told me, he says, I was mad at him, and I said, now you bring us in this new cult. We get out of a cult. And that's what he told me. He said, you choose that life. And
mm,
it's like, it's ingrained very really deep in people that we do people still
mm.
and something I don't find it funny.
Yeah,
I don't
this
think it's
yeah,
funny.
but this comment was actually it was not for you. It was for Scientology. So
Yeah,
it was
but
turning me on. But I
it's still
understand.
sometimes I'm still ashamed of myself,
Mm,
and
mm,
sometimes mistakes I did, they come and but like everybody.
mm,
And sometimes I still ask myself questions about spirituality. I don't know
yeah,
if we reincarnate, and I don't
yeah,
know if we go into heaven or hell,
yeah,
or I don't know if we just disappear when we die. Nobody knows.
yeah.
So sometimes I do have questioning about reincarnation,
Mm,
and
Yeah,
Is
I think we all have those questions, but for sure they are not answered by one single man in this world.
no, there is
Such
no
as,
answer to that. Everybody
mm,
has his own answer, and I think it's
yeah,
happened after we die.
yeah,
Some people will say, "Oh, I saw the light and I come back," but
mm,
me, I think that because as kids they were taught that idea of a light and that idea
mm,
of a paradise. So when they have a false death, a death
mm,
experience, that their psyche will create that image that they have formatted since they were kids. That's my belief. That's what I think. Maybe people will say, no, no, no. There's really you see the light when you die, and then, because some
mm,
people said that, but me, I will never know before I die.
yeah,
But I do ask myself some questions sometime, and I do think sometime that I did pull some bad things to me, and I put the guilt on me. You know, my father wasn't there. I was hungry. There was nothing, and there was only that man. So I went to him, and I did nothing because there was it was the only place I could go. And it does happen that I feel guilty about what happened.
yeah. I
So
refuse to agree with you.
yeah,
Absolutely
no,
not your
I
fault.
mean, when you went like me into
Mm,
different doctrines,
mm,
the doctrine of the mission of the Holy Spirit, the doctrine
mm,
of Scientology, the doctrine of the Brahma
mm,
Kumaris, Christianity, and many different.
mm,
Start to 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 see, and try to make sense with all that,
mm,
and it's like it's philosophical question. It's not really guilt, or
mm.
I don't know how to say, but it's
Mm.
touchy, to make fun about this.
Yeah, but I actually had a similar type of conversation with another ex-member recently, and uh, they were saying that there's like this conscious part where you know that you should not have these feelings. However, you still have those feelings,
Because
even.
you always have the black wolf and
Mm,
the white wolf,
mm,
and if you feed the black wolf,
mm,
it's not good. Don't feed the black wolf.
mm,
It's a bit like that because the black wolf wants to take you into confusion,
yeah.
and wants to make you feel guilty, and wants to make you
Mm,
mad at the world outside and become a warrior, and
mm,
try to destroy everything that you don't like outside. And the white wolf is the other side that will make you think with empathy and compassion, and
mm,
love towards other, and take care of yourself. And when you go into angriness, or it's not good for your health, to
mm,
always think back about the bad memories.
yeah.
And I think that's what the guy meant. The
Yeah.
me, I say I try not to. I went a lot into that book, and to the pain, and it triggered
Mm,
a lot. I almost got the divorce because the state it put me in to write this book.
mm,
So I try not to feed the black wolf. I have had enough
yeah.
of that. So today I
Mm,
feed the white wolf with my old people. I go sing for them, and I play with them and take care of them. I am with the white wolf, and that's what I want to do.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
somebody asked me in the last interview I did, I don't remember
Mm,
what I think about the protest.
mm,
You do to If you do that because you're angry at for stuff you have inside of you, and you
mm,
want to make them pay because
mm,
of something that happened. When you go to the protest, you have to do that with love and empathy and
mm,
compassion. You go there to tell the people, hey, look at what's written there.
mm,
Outside here, we know that you don't know it. We want to
mm.
teach it to you. We want you
Yes.
to be free because
Yes.
we want you to come back to our society because we love you. We
Mm,
cannot point at them and say, you are doing this, you are bad people, because they
mm.
never forget that they are victims.
Yes.
The people
Yeah.
that comes out through the door of Church of Scientology and have to pass
Mm,
into the manifestation, the protestation,
yes.
but the protestation, me, I see it like saying to the people, because when I read what took me out of Scientology, started taking me, is when I read Barefaced Messiah. And I don't remember, Russell something, the writer, British journalist. And then I started to see the truth. And I look at the journalist. Normally I know his name, and I said, he looks like a good guy. What he's telling me in that book, I don't think he did that only for money, because he wanted us to know the truth. And I read the book, and I believed what he told me, and then I started to. And then one day I go to an event of Scientology, and I see that they're all saying bullshit about L. Ron Hubbard. Was birthdays, L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. There was a video, and I had read the book the week before, and or the months before. And I saw the video was all bullshit. It was all lies. They say that about Hubbard. But Amy proved in the book with documentation that it was not true. And so I don't know how I ended up there with you, but they are victim, and they need help. They don't need to be aggressed by people. So that's why it has to be done with love and compassion, and it's something that they don't really know, because they don't go into that state of emotion, that kind of emotion, and they're stuck into the top of and they're most of them feel well there, because they're brainwashed, and they still think they're clearing the planet, and they think that you are wrong. But maybe if you manage just to put a seed in their mind, and they start to have doubt and wonder why these people there why are they protesting? What do they want to do? And some people will start thinking and asking themselves questions about.
Dylan Gill is saying, I carried anger with me for a long time and then realized I needed to let go of that anger in order to heal. Same Russell Miller's book was great.
Yeah, that's it. Russell Miller's,
yeah.
It's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
And John Attack book is good too.
Yeah.
Let's sell these people a piece of blue sky. That was an eye-opening for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one question for you. If there's someone in Scientology right now who is considering maybe reaching out or leaving the cult or the movement, whatever you want to call it, what would you say as a words of encouragement for them?
It happened to me a few weeks ago. It's a guy from Quebec City, and I told him about what happened to me in Scientology, and I told him about what they use to put yourself into a dissociative state, and but then I saw it after in the social media. The guy left Scientology to return into evangelical church. And it's difficult, because what you have to do with the person is to help her to get in touch with herself. You cannot really give so much advice, because they're close. And if I start talking against Scientology too much, because the problem with people leaving Scientology, when they have 1 foot out and 1 foot in, if they decide going back in, they might stab you in the back, because in the ethic condition, they have to go back when they want to get back to the group. It says give a good punch, I don't remember the right word. Give a good punch to the people, the people of the group that you pretended to be part of, and then they will attack you. So it's delicate, because the Scientologists are stuck with beliefs inside that can also be triggered by what I'm telling them. So it's very. So when I talk with ex-Scientologists, I just try to tell them my story, and I try to be compassionate with them and empathetic, and show them love, because this is something that doesn't exist in Scientology. Yeah. But these are kind of feelings that everybody wants. Everybody wants to feel understand, to feel, but it's really difficult, to go into somebody's mind and try to understand what to pull up. And Scientology, they are specialists for that. But to go into a Scientologist's mind and know what to tell him and what, So, but if that's what happened. If the guy is a cult oper,
Mm.
it might not be of help to take him out of a certain movement if he goes into another one.
Yeah.
There was a guy when we left the mission of the Holy Spirit. I was good friend with him. He was a bit younger than my father. He was the son of one of the Dauphin. Was not the master, but the master gave the keys of the cult to him. It was one of his son, and I was close to him, and he was close to our family. So when we got into Scientology, he went to Scientology with us. He came to Scientology. And then he went to the Sea Org in Toronto, and something terrible happened there. He went there with his wife. They came back to Montreal, and then I couldn't be in touch with him anymore because he left Scientology for good, and he joined the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is no much better.
Yes.
And now I like this guy, but now he wouldn't talk to me anymore because he wasn't the Jehovah. Not because I was a Scientologist, because he was a Jehovah's Witness. So it's not easy. So what I do with Scientologists, I just be myself, and I try to talk about subjects that are deep, if I can use that word, without showing shame. I open myself to him, and I tell him my experience, and I try, because the problem also is sometimes people just joined Scientology, but they were already into a bad space psychologically. And sometimes that there are many Scientologists that they have never received auditing on the e-meter, or they don't know. They never went up the grades. They never did anything. They just adhere to the new family, to everybody. It's like contagious when you have everybody with a big smile like that in the place. Everybody's into action, and finally you found a place where you can do something. They promise you that you're doing something for society, and so you adhere to. There are many different reasons why people join Scientology or any other cult, and this is something you have to deal with when you're trying to help somebody. Why did he go there at first? And what did he find in Scientology? It's very difficult. Me, I try to help mostly people when they are out already.
Yeah.
When they have one foot out, they will go out.
Yeah.
If somebody asks for questions, just show him that you're also a Scientologist and you are out for 10, 15 years, and your life is great, and you're happy, and you have changed, and today you talk in a different way, and you're close to the person, and and that's what I could say. And I'm not a specialist too.
Yeah.
But there aren't many today. There are many more specialists, but I cited Stephen Hassan's book. But when I needed help, I gave him a phone call, and he asked me for $400 US for an hour on video. So I said, this is not help. Many people do it for the money.
Yeah.
And you see a cult specialist that they will come and do an interview. They will put Tom Cruise in it and Léa Remini, to make it more and it's not easy. It's not easy. There aren't many specialists, and often the therapy the person would have to do to get herself out of the cults has nothing to do with the cults. It's previous to that. What happened for you to search for resolutions of your problems and to a cult? Why did you get? What state were you in when you joined the cult? That's why when I start an interview, I say at 11, I was searching for something already. I was in a bad state. And that often when people join, because when somebody is happy, they don't have time to waste into going study for hours. And because when you have a search for sense and a search for a modified state of consciousness, it's mostly because you're not very well. and the way you are, because you're looking for something else. You're looking to change something. So why did you end up not well before joining the church? Why did you end up in that state? And often, it's problem with your kids when you were a kid with your parents, or sexual abuse like me. I'm sure that if I got into the justice system as a kid, and I saw a psychologist for kids and things like that, I don't think I would have adhered so much to Scientology. But I was already living in shame. I was 11. And that's not to mention Stephen Hassan again, but he talks about a lot about the pre-cult personality. But the thing for people who were raised into it, it's only that if you're not happy, just leave. You're raised into Scientology. Me, and now I went into 4 doctrines, at least 4 doctrines about. So I made my own cosmology. That's how we call it. Our thinking about spirituality. It's our cosmology. Now I made my own doctrine, like kind of between what I experienced. And you have to tell the people, well, you have learned a lot. Now you learned about that doctrine, and you will learn more in life. And if you're done with there, that's it. It's time to leave. And if they don't let you leave for free, there's something abnormal. You should be able to leave if you have enough, and you took what you took. You had to take it there, and now you want to leave. May leave if you're not well there anymore. But Scientology will always try to find a reason why you're not well, and they will tell you to write OW and to what. They will always put the fault on you. You did major crimes, or
I think that's a perfect way to end this. We've been on for over 2 hours, and it's nearly midnight over here. But I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank everyone who's been listening. We have had a steady audience for the whole time, so I appreciate everyone who's been watching. And please check out Michelle's book. The link is in the description. And thank you for all the moderators. And I hope I get to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I hope to. And thanks for having me, because when I do that, I feel privileged.
And I feel privileged to have you here. So
the sense to my life, to carry that mission I've given myself. And I was telling you, I'm sorry, I can't read the chats, because when I talk with you, I cannot read, because I lose my concentration. And but I know that many people have interesting comments, and sometimes I want to read them to see if they don't think I'm crazy.
No, they do not. But you can always go back and watch them afterwards if you're interested.
I don't know how to do that. Thank you, Mirjam.
Yeah, thank you very much. And
have a nice sleep.
Yeah, and have a nice rest of your day. And we'll talk soon. Bye.
Goodbye.